presentations, and we're going to hear from our SRO, Tim Westcott.
Good evening, everyone. I was asked to come here to speak tonight and give my SRO report. Obviously, I came here in January, so not right at the beginning of the school year. It's flown by. It's hard to believe we're less than a month away and school will be over with. So I'll get right into it. My typical work day usually starts around 6:45 in the morning. That's usually when I arrive. I usually make a quick round around the school and then get ready and welcome the middle high school students. The doors open up in the front around 7:20. I'm usually stationed right out in the front lobby, vestibule area. I then, after I'm done, I'll walk the middle school again, checking doors, greeting students and staff. And then at around 8:20, 8:30ish, I head down to the elementary school and greet the students there. I usually like to move around there. I like to cover the different doors and that for the different grade levels because they get dropped off. Not everybody gets dropped off at the main door this year, so I like to move around and make sure that I'm greeting all the grade levels. I'll then usually walk into the elementary school after that, make a round there, greet the teachers and any other students that are walking around the halls heading to class. And then as my day goes on, it's up in the air from there. Obviously, I'm maintaining security of both buildings throughout the day. I'm bouncing back and forth between the middle high school and the elementary school, doing tasks as needed, from administration. At the end of the school day then, around 2:45, I'm in the main hallway here for the high school dismissal, and then I'll head down to the elementary school for the bus dismissal down there at the end of the day, which is around 3:30. And then my shift usually typically ends around 4 o'clock. I may be asked to clean floors occasionally too. Glenn was nice enough to let me take a ride around on a Zamboni, and that was pretty fun. My other roles and responsibilities since I've been here, I sat down with Mr. Montroy and we reviewed the school safety plan, the suicide assessment safety plan, and the safety crisis plan. We installed a doorbell off the cafeteria in the back here where the deliveries are made. Prior to getting here and that, a lot of the times the doors were wedged open, sometimes left unattended. So I spoke with the cafeteria staff and decided that installing a doorbell there was a better option. That way we could keep the door secure at all times so no one had access through that part of the building. We also installed a lockbox with a master key and fob, so if there is an emergency and I'm busy taking care of that emergency and other emergency personnel needs to enter the building, they can gain access. There is a code to the lockbox that only my dispatch has. Just myself and Jordan here at the school are the only other two who know the combination. So if someone needs to respond here, they'll give out the code to our personnel and they can access either building. We've also participated in fire and lockdown drills. Obviously lockdown drills are looking a little different this year because of COVID, but hopefully we can get back to doing them the way they should be done here in the fall. I've accompanied Mr. Montroy, also Mr. Egan, one of our school counselors, on approximately 45 home visits for various reasons. It's been nice to actually get to know some of the remote students who have been remote since I've been here and that I haven't seen in the hallways. So that's been a good thing. Some of the visits also, we're picking up, dropping off equipment for the kids, whether it's hotspots or Chromebooks or that. So and also taught Aaron's Law to grades pre-K through 8th with these school counselors in both buildings, and that entailed teaching the kids about body safety and what to do. To prevent any types of sexual abuse and that. It's a law that went into effect back in 2019. I've assisted Ms. Kelly in 3 of her health classes during the alcohol portion of it with field sobriety tests and kind of, help the kids kind of recognize the signs and the dangers of you know, being under the influence, operating motor vehicles, and that. So I've presented internet safety to grades 3 through 8 with the school counselors. We're actually still in the process of that down in the elementary school. We're going to be done with that at the end of the month. I've presented with Carol Nicomeno from Jacasa to the 4th grade class, the dangers of vaping. At the end of the month, we're going to be talking about smokeless tobacco as well. We'll be presenting on that. I'm just about finished up with the virtual TIG training here. We've been doing it a couple days a week. We did the 2 biggest portions were done last week, and then there's one more 4-hour block that I'll actually be doing tomorrow. And we just finished finishing up the prom panel awareness video presented by Jacasa. I had a small role in that. I've been on that panel for several years, so it wasn't anything new to me. It's a real good program to put on for the kids that are going to prom. It's just a photo of Miss Wilkos and I when we were teaching Aaron's Law down in the elementary school. I sit right now on the school safety committee. I attend monthly SRO meetings with the other SROs in the other school districts. It's a good chance for us to get together, kind of compare notes, see what's going on in the other school districts. We've also included the SRO from Batavia City Schools, and we're working on getting some of the surrounding counties, inviting their SROs as well to our meeting and that, just to see what's going on in the other counties. I can tell you this, in talking with the other school districts, we've got a great school district here. One of the SROs, pretty much all they do, they said, is break up fights. So we got a good school district here. I've been attending the administration meetings on a monthly basis, and also the Juvenile Justice Planning Committee meetings, which are held on a monthly basis as well. That's something I did when I was a youth officer prior to coming here, and I've continued to attend those meetings as much as possible. Some of the fun stuff I've got to do since I've been here, I got to judge a 6th grade burger competition. Those kids did a great job. Mr. Hoffein's class. I didn't need to eat dinner at any time I went home from doing that. That was real good. I had the honor to join a Google Meet and meet a remote student who actually now is back in school here, so that's good. I read stories to the pre-K and kindergarten classes. I had the opportunity to go down there and meet the kids down there. We're going to be doing the Fun with Lockers presentation for the 5th grade class as they transition up here to the middle high school next year. So we're going to be doing that here, I believe, in another week. We have that class for the 3 5th grade classes. And we just had the bike to school day with the elementary students. Weather wasn't great, but probably could have been a little bit worse. You know, we had to dodge a few raindrops, but it wasn't too bad. And for the after-school events, I've worked the sectional soccer games, boys and girls basketball games, the varsity football game, and the cross-country league and sectional championships. So I've been present for those as well. I got to put Bernie Sanders to a table too, so that was pretty fun. Extras in that, I've had, as I get to know the students, it's been difficult with the masks and that, trying to get around and meet as many kids as I can. It's been challenging at times, but we're getting there. There's kids that I remember coaching Little League, and now they're, you know, as tall as me or taller, and I'm like, I didn't recognize who they were, so that's taken some time. But I have met and spoken with students one-on-one on some topics as vaping, internet safety, being respectful, bullying, anger issues, and also talked about careers in law enforcement. I've been a liaison between the CPS and our admin team. I had a lot of contacts through DSS and CPS when I worked as a youth officer, so that's, I think, been a benefit since coming here. Met with the parents regarding social media issues they're having with their children. We've had a few incidents there, and luckily everything got worked out. Worked with the custodial staff closely on any issues pertaining to building security. those guys are great. You know, they let me know first thing in the morning if they found something or if there's something that needs attention, so we can get right on it. I'd like to give our admin team a daily updates on any calls involving our students outside of school. That's one of the first things I do when I come in the morning. We have what's called briefing notes that we have access to. And it basically outlines all the calls from the previous night, previous weekend. So I'll go through that and see if, you know, there were any calls involving any of our families here in the district that, you know, they may need some attention when they get into school. And I was able to request and receive a donation from my union, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, to purchase extra hygiene products to be kept in both nurses' office for students who need those. So hopefully we'll have enough supplies there to last a little while on that. We also did get a donation. I didn't put it on there, but we got a donation too from one of the sergeants who had a bunch of extra toiletries and that he had picked up over his years of traveling. He covers as our warrant officer as well. So that's pretty much it. You know, like I said, it's been I'm having fun. It's the years flown by. Things are moving pretty quick, and you know, like I said, I'm enjoying my time here. Does anyone have any questions?
If I can just speak on behalf of the administrative team, and you know, Tim is just an invaluable part of our day-to-day operations here. I think the teachers appreciate him and his visibility in the hallways and being available with any questions or concerns they have. I know the students very much appreciate him. You know, the elementary kids love seeing you coming into the classrooms. I know, like you had said, the middle and high school students mostly know you just from, you know, years experience here in the community, and I just can't thank you enough for your day-to-day work, your visibility, your flexibility, being at sporting events. You know, prom, graduation coming up. I can't thank you enough for what you do day in and day out, just bringing the extra, you know, calm and comfort that school districts need at this time. So, you know, thank you, Tim.
Welcome.
Same question.
Sure.
How many SROs are in is it Johnson County? Do we know how many of the districts you guys meet with?
So we have, well, let's see, we have one in Pembroke, one in Pavilion, Alexander, Byron Burgeon, Leroy, and Batavia. So every district but Alba right now has a school resource officer.
So you guys meeting monthly, just an informal thing you guys just do, or has that been something in place for SROs?
They had it in place prior to my arrival, becoming an SRO, so I kind of jumped into that. Actually, we also have Rich Schildwasser over at BOCES, so, and that's usually where we meet every week, or every month, I mean. So, you know, like I said, we try and get together. Meetings usually go about an hour. We're just kind of catching up on things, see if anybody's seeing a trend or anything going on. We just talk about that and, you know, and just kind of compare notes.
Is that just a Genesee County thing, Tim, or is that something that you would like open up to maybe some Orleans County school districts, or is that pretty much the...
Yeah, we're in the process. I know Jeremy McClellan, who's the Pavilion SRO, he's kind of been, I guess, taking the lead in this. So I know he's reached out to Wyoming County, and I believe he's also reached out to Orleans County well to try and get them included. I don't know when it started prior to, you know, me becoming an SRO. I think they, you know, were meeting at least for a few months before I got there. So I think they are trying to expand it a little bit more and include the other counties in that.
First off, I'd like to say that I think we're on the right page finally for the RSO position, SRO position. And so I'm very glad to see that. Now, I don't know if I missed it maybe in your presentation, but you say you also gave presentations on drug abuse.
We talked about vaping with the 4th grade students, and we're going to be talking about smokeless tobacco. We haven't done any drug presentations as of yet.
And any thoughts about possibly starting up a law enforcement club or an explorer club after school?
Yeah, that's something certainly we can look into. Yeah, I'd have to do a little research on that, but yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
Other than that, kudos on a job well done this year.
Thank you.
I know I've got 2 girls that have enjoyed you coming into their class of pre-K and kindergarten, and I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing is visibility and your ability to communicate. And when you go through these, you're visible and clearly can communicate. And I
Right.
think that that's something that I'm very thankful for, and I'm glad that you are who you are, and hope you stay for a little while.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good night,
Yeah,
guys.
you too. Thank you, Tim.
Got Christine up next for our budget hearing.
Hey, Matt, do they want to maybe move their chairs in the back? I don't know if they can see. Do they want to move?
You want me to?
Yeah, it'd be good. Down the through hotels.
Is that better?
No monkey business there.
Is everybody settled? This is the time of year that we present on do our formal budget hearing. Much of the information on here has been presented at prior meetings, which that information can be found out on our website. All those presentations that we've done in the past are available. Our budget process, it's an ongoing process that this isn't, there we go. It begins early on in the budget year and the school year, and it really centers around our mission statement, which is, all students can learn. And with this in mind, the mission of the Oakfield-Alabama Central School District is to ensure that all students acquire and develop the skills and work habits to enable them to become productive members of society. And we keep that mission at the center of all of our budget decisions. Our budget priorities on an instructional side of things have been to, center around supporting district literacy initiatives, multi-tiered systems of support, expanding our district math and lit teams, and partnering with JACASA, Rachel's Challenge, and Genesee County Mental Health. Fiscally, our budget maintains the current staffing level, maintains current levels of educational programming and extracurricular activities, maintains our transportation vehicle replacement plan that ensures the highest level of safety for our students. We try and stay on a schedule with that. It ensures fiscal stability that supports our short and long-term district initiatives, supports a long-range facilities plan that has minimal impact on taxpayers. We are establishing a new project reserve, capital project reserve as part of the budget this year. We aren't funding it, that's not in the budget to fund it, but it will be funded with budget surpluses in future years, but we need to reestablish a new capital reserve as the current one is being used for the current project. We plan to continue with our annual $100,000 capital outlay projects that knocks out a small project every year. And again, those projects are 91% aidable to the district. So really, you're paying 10 cents on the dollar here at the district for the work being done. And it also supports our student and staff technology needs. Our 21-22 budget is $21,356,442. It's a budget increase of $232,696. I apologize, the alignment on this got goofed up. That's a 1.1% budget increase over the prior budget year. This is the New York State's required view of our budget by the three components of administrative, program, and capital. The largest portion of our budget is 69% is the instructional, which is the program piece. That supports instruction and transportation of our students. Capital is 20% of our budget, and that covers operations and maintenance of our buildings, our debt service payments for prior capital projects as well. The administrative component is 11% of our budget, and it covers administration both district-wide and at the building level, as well as other district-wide expenditures. One of the things with our budget and our expenditures, the biggest piece of our increase in expenditures is salaries are up about $300,000 from prior year. It's about 3.48%, but that's based on employment contracts. And that's about 43% of our budget. 21% of our budget goes towards benefits. And that's up an overall 4.1%, or $180,000. We were able to work with the building administrators and stakeholders in the budget here to keep the budget at a $232,000 increase, or a 1.1% increase. On the revenue side of things, to support our budget, our 92% of our revenues come from the combined total of our state aid and our property tax levy. State aid itself makes up the majority of our district revenues. That's 67% of our revenues, and that only increased 0.42% over the prior year. Property taxes make up about 25% of our revenue, and that's up. We're proposing a 1.95% increase to the tax levy. And unclassified revenues on there include things like our pilot payments. One of the things with our budget from last year is our budget last year was supported with $117,000 from our CARES Act. That was used. We don't have that in the general fund budget this year. The new federal stimulus money is outside the general fund, so that's one of the I don't want to say general fund revenue losses, so to speak. That tax levy, this is the tax cap calculation. It's based on a formula that factors in things such as our pilot payments, capital expenditures, and the such. That brings us to that $5,416,941. That 1.95% represents an increase of $103,000. Just another look at our tax levy cap history. The yellow line is what our allowable increase has been as per the tax cap calculation. The blue line is what the district has gone out to with the levy every year. Last year we had a 0% increase, and this year we're proposing a 1.95% increase. Obviously, one piece of the tax levy is just one piece of the tax rate calculation. I just want to point that out. I'm going to give you the projected tax rates. There's three elements that go into the tax rate. The school tax levy is one piece, but there's two other pieces that the district is not in control over, and that is your assessed value that's set by your town assessor and the equalization rate that's set by New York State. Those don't happen. Those two elements aren't set until May or July. So the next slide, when I say projected tax rates, that will be based on prior year's assessment and equalization rates. So based on, again, prior year assessments and equalization rates, the projected tax rates by town are listed there, and we gave an example of what an estimated annual tax bill would be on a $100,000 house and what the increase to that tax bill would be. This is not reflective of any STAR tax exemptions. So, for example, town of Oakfield would be 40-cent increase in the rate, or 39.94. I have the wrong glasses on. 39.94% increase from your prior year bill. But again, that does not reflect STAR. One of the other revenue elements to the district, we are planning to use $226,000 from our reserves. Right now the plan is to use that from the retirement contribution reserve. We'll plan to use that to pay our employee retirement system bill in December. This shows what our reserve balances were at the beginning of 2020, so July 1st, 2020. We were at 5.8 million. During the course of 2021, we obviously, to fund the beginning parts of the capital project, we used the capital reserve. Thus, we're going to be trying to create a new capital reserve for future projects. So that now is at a zero. And we used a little bit of our debt service reserve and our retirement contribution reserve. So right now, our reserves at July 30 or June 30th of 2021 will be at 3.9 million. I know there's been a lot of talk about what this federal stimulus money means for school districts in the area, and I just want to make sure that I clarify what that is. You know, what is the federal money and what is it not? And this is all based on what we know now. We still don't have all the guidance that we need to really put together a concrete plan. But what I can tell you is that it's not general fund revenue. It's not recurring revenue. So it's not used to, it's not an element of our budget, so to speak. It's outside additional supplemental activities. So summer school, extended learning days, things like that. You know, what it is, again, it's federal money. It's accounted for in the special aid fund. It's a completely separate bucket than our general fund. We cannot use it to balance our budget. We can use it, you know, the biggest focus of it is to address learning loss for students. And we must have a plan in place for this by July 1st. We'll have information forthcoming on all of that. And we'll get more information from the state. We're just kind of waiting. But we are having conversations with the administrative team to talk about it. And hopefully in June we'll have a presentation for you on it. Here's the amounts on it, the allocations and the uses. There was three stimulus packages that were passed. The first one was the CARES Act, that was last spring. That was $117,000. The governor used that to balance our budget last year, so that was a piece of our general fund revenue. So therefore, I talked about that a little earlier. We did use that in the 2021 fiscal year. The two additional stimulus acts, there's the SRISA and ARPA. Those are, the dollar values are there. We've got $709,000 in SRISA and $2.6 million in the ARPA. That is to be used over the next three and a quarter year by September of 2024. And again, it's accounted for in the special aid fund, not in the general fund. Just a comment on the STAR program. STAR offers property tax relief to the New York State homeowners towards their property taxes. There's a link to the state guidance at tax.newyork.gov. You can get information on eligibility, registration, and how you can receive the STAR credit there. There's two methods to receive the STAR benefit. STAR credit check that comes in the mail to help pay your school tax bills. You're in that bucket of folks if you have if your income's over $250,000. You must switch to that STAR credit, or if you're just signing up for it now. If you were an existing homeowner, you can remain getting the reduction on your school tax bill, but you won't get that. There's like an annual increase to it. I think it's 2%. But again, there's more details on the program on the site, but I did want to kind of touch on a little bit high level. We've updated our website to include a page for our budget information. We did have one last year, but this year's is updated. It has all the presentations out there. You can go back and look at prior presentations to get a little more detail if you need that. And information on the dates and times of the vote, which is also here. It's next Tuesday from 11 to 8. You'll enter, it's in-person voting this year. You enter through the middle high school door by the library. There'll be 2 propositions on the ballot. One is the budget. The second proposition is just the establishment of a new capital reserve. And there's 2 open board seats with 4 candidates: Tim Edgerton, Jeff Hyde, Lauren McClotsbach, and Maria Thompson. And voter qualifications: you need to be a citizen of the United States, 18 years of age or older, and a resident of the Oakfield-Alabama School District for a period of 30 days. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask at this time? Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about this Proposition 2, the capital improvement, what that reserve is and what it can do and how it's established. And
Do you want me to do it, or do you want to?
You can do it and I can chime in, or I
Okay,
can.
no, that's fine.
Go ahead.
So what a capital reserve is when you have a capital project, it's usually, we have a building aid percentage. So if you have say a $10 million project, the state will fund us, and our district's aid percentage is 91.1%. Let's round it to 90%. So basically the state will fund us $99 million of the $10 million project. So that $1 million is used, we put money in a reserve to cover that portion, so that when we do go out to that, we don't need to find $1 million. We have that saved up. So usually that gets funded every year. We try to be conservative with what we spend. And at the end of the year, you don't budget to the penny. Nobody budgets to the penny.
How is the money allocated for this reserve fund?
At the end of the year, we have surplus. We tend to have a surplus, and we will use whatever we have at the end. We'll make a determination, and we'll bring it to the board and ask them where they would like us to put those put it into our savings account. So that's where that would come from. It would be any budget surpluses. So if we can be fiscally conservative through the year, which we tend to be here, we fund it from that.
Now, in your thing down here, it says, in the sale of property, can it be applied to it? Can a school sell property?
No, if the capital project reserve fund is used, for example, by raising taxes 1.95%, we get from the community $100,000. On any given day, any given school year, to maintain these buildings, to maintain the windows, the grounds, just the maintenance of it is millions of dollars. There is no way that a community can support a school district in the maintenance of their buildings. That's why it's important to have a capital project reserve, because whatever we can save up, the district or the state will match us ninefold. So you talk to any school district, they all have capital reserve funds for that use. So right now, our new capital project that we're actually heading into this summer is for the maintenance of these buildings. We're replacing all of the windows here in the middle high school building. That's about a $2 to $2.5 million project. There is no way that we could go out to the voters and say, support that. So that's why it's a great investment, because we get ninefold back on having those capital reserve funds. So,
is there limitations on this capital reserve fund? How much can be generated? How long can be kept?
yes, this new capital reserve fund is funded up to $5 million
I think
over
it's $5 million in 10 years.
in 10 years. So we'll put money in there knowing that that investment from the state will be ninefold. And then down the road, we'll do another building condition survey. And when we need to do another capital project, that's when we utilize those funds.
Now, that money that's allocated into them, is that put into like CDs or
yes. Yes, we invest that.
Okay. So you can get the interest rate?
Absolutely. Yep, and all that interest goes right back into that account. It stays right in there.
How is the state portion, how is that achieved?
So basically, over the life of the project, we take out there's a bond that is taken out, and every year we make the bond payments, and then the state gives us our building aid back on that, and that they basically even out. So over the course of the next 20 years, as we're paying off this current capital project, we will get state aid to cover all of those bond payments.
Now, would that change from one school district to the next? How much?
Every district's different depending upon the size of the district, absolutely. Their state aid is, what they're aided is based on a very complicated formula that involves things like, income of the residents. It's also based on, property values and some wealth ratios and all kinds of fun things that makes my head spin just looking at the formula. So, but yes, it does come up to that. And our ratio at this point in time is 91.1%. So we're fortunate in that manner that we can get some projects done and get some aid.
Is that a typical rate, 91%?
That's a good return.
It is a
We're
good-
very fortunate.
That's a very high return.
Yes.
For a rural district, I
Yes.
think, in this area, I've worked in at least one other district, and our aid ratio was 92%. So it's not uncommon in a rural district for them to get that, because we have so much, farmland and things like that you don't have as much residential property or business properties with bringing in the taxes to help pay for some of that and support that rate. So for us, that's good for us.
Yes.
Good for us. Does anybody else have questions? Thank you very much. I hope you all show up for our vote next week.
Okay, thanks, Christine. On to the approval of the minutes. Be resolved that the minutes of the April 20th regular meeting be approved. Can we get a motion? Motion. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Visitors requests. Sounds like we've got one request from Mr. Higley. Floor is yours, Mr. Woodward.
I wanted to talk about, my question is about the candidate for the election.
Okay.
One's present.
Excuse me?
Or one out of the four are present here, Mr. Edgerton.
Unbelievable.
Well, you could still state your question. We are recorded and.
I'm not going to waste anybody's time. 3 can't show up.
Any other requests? No. Okay. Approval of warrants. Be resolved after an audit of the bills, payment of the April 15th and April 29th warrants and internal claims auditor reports be approved. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
A second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Treasurer's reports. Be resolved that the treasurer's reports for March 2021 be approved. Do we have a motion? Motion. Any second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Under reports, is there anything else, Christine, or?
No, I just presented on the budget. We're preparing for next week's budget vote, and I'm really looking forward to an opportunity to sit out there and meet some community members, being that I'm not from Oakfield, but so I'm looking forward to that. I mentioned in the presentation that we've updated our website to increase financial transparency with the district, to make it very easy to find budget information. I know sometimes you go out to districts' websites and it's very difficult. You're hunting and pecking and trying to find things. So I worked with Rob and we designed that to make sure that we had that. I know other districts, the state comptroller has gone out and did a kind of a broad umbrella of a bunch of districts review of them, and it was nice because it provided the rest of us some feedback on what we can do better. So that was good, and we were able to do that. So I welcome you to go out and take a look at that. And again, we're just working diligently with the admin to come up with, uses for the federal stimulus money and how we can plan that out over the next few years. The guidance from the state is trickling out, and there's some of the stuff that's conflicting. So, dates, we have to, just yesterday we got a notification that they've opened the portal at the state for it, and they want you to put something in by June 15th, but doesn't give you a lot of time to get that information out to the voters or people in the community and stakeholders to get a plan back. So kind of waiting for some more detailed guidance, and John and the team are talking about things, and obviously we'll look for public input on it, and we have to present a plan. Last I knew from the state was July 1st, but yet we've got to submit something by June 15th, so date conflicts, but otherwise it's going good.
Okay. Any questions for Christine? Okay, thanks. John?
Sure. Just a couple updates for the board and community. We do have our bid opening this Thursday at 1 p.m. for our capital project. We do have a special board meeting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. That is during the district budget vote to approve the recommended bids. So I would need a quorum for board members available next Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. I will provide you an update as soon as I have a recommendation from that Thursday from DGA and SEI on the bids. Our junior-senior prom is Saturday, June 5th, 6:30 to 10:30. That's at Timber Lodge Arrowhead Golf Club. If you aren't aware, the governor has increased the indoor and outdoor capacity. So the indoor capacity is 250 people. We will be below that, so there is no testing for our prom goers and their dates, which is a great thing. I had initially retrieved 400 quick tests, thinking that we would have to test our kids the 72 hours beforehand, but we don't. So we're good to go on that front and looking forward to a great time. Our graduation is set for Saturday, June 19th at 10 a.m. We will have it in the football stadium. Due to the increased capacity level at 500 in outdoor stadiums, and the idea that if we separate the graduates from the people attending, that the graduates don't count. So we are currently looking that each graduate can bring 8 guests for graduation. So we will work out the logistics of how we will spread them out on the football field and the track. But again, we're good to go for graduation on that day. And again, no testing. No required documentation of vaccinations from anybody that's going to attend graduation. So we're ready to rock and roll. All good news. And under new business, the board has a recommendation to have Friday, June 18th as a student attendance day. The board previously, at the beginning of the year, we denoted that as a Juneteenth holiday. I'd like the board to kind of reverse that and go back to having that as a student attendance day. That would give us that day as 180 days of student attendance, and that would and could be the last day for all students to attend school, unless a middle or high school student has a Regents exam the following week, per the New York State Regents exam schedule. And of course, borrowing the use of any snow or emergency day up until then. And that's really all I have. I don't know if the other administrators had any other good news to share.
I do. So it's been about a year and a half since the admin team sat down with Genesee County Mental Health with our vision of a satellite office to be in our building. And we've reached full capacity of that. We have the counselor here a day and a half per week, all day Tuesday, half a day on Thursday, and she's seeing a full caseload of 23 students, which is awesome. So we've had that. That's meeting what our vision was a year and a half ago. We're at that point now. Our counseling staff's working very well. They're communicating some of those things back and forth, how we can support students' academic needs while supporting their emotional needs, behavioral needs. And then we also found we still have a very big need for mental health wellness for our students. So trying to find some other ways to get student services talked to Genesee County Mental Health. Genesee County, the need in the area is just astronomical, and they can't have another person come to our satellite office or give us more time for our current counselor. So I reached out to our friends at BOCES. Julie Downland was great. We have an option. We could look at hiring a social worker that can also do mental health therapy. So there'd be a caseload of seeing students for mental health therapy and able to do some of the social work that some of our families really need. The admin staff has also talked about the ability to flex some of those hours. So if a family needed some family services or family counseling, they could come in, or the social worker can go there. 2 nights a week, maybe flexing their hours from 10 to 7, so they're more accessible to our community. So it's an option that wasn't available a couple of years ago. There's now a COSER that allows us to get some of that funding back, and we can also use some of the federal funding. So it's a great way to get some more services for our students who still have some mental health needs. We have kind of fingers in the dam right now for some of the students, but I want to get some of those needs that maybe are in the elementary school that we can help them so they don't need as many services as they grow older, and learn some coping strategies and ways to get through. So great news for us that we're looking at being able to support more students and hopefully get a social worker.
Do you compete with other districts for those services? What?
Absolutely. So another neighboring district gets a 1 day per building. We're at a day and a half for 2 buildings. And they basically just said, we can't give you any more. There are other districts who are on a waiting list to have a satellite office, and they can't get anybody in the door. So we were kind of the first ones. I think we were the second ones in the area. But we're also, I think, the ones doing it the best, where we're really integrated into our everyday business. Our counselors work with our mental health therapists and really talk about how we can best help our students, which was our vision from the beginning. We didn't want just somebody in an office in the back that kids would go talk to and not be able to work with us. So it's been a long process with the communication, but we're there.
What does that look like then, JC, for synchronization? Like, how do you coordinate that with your counselors, your psychologists, and then the mental health? Is it like a weekly sit down that you have, or how does that look?
We sit down monthly to talk about each student by student.
Yeah.
But in terms of how the schedules get done, she has access to our school tools, so she can see the schedules of students and can set times so they're not going to be missing class for the counseling sessions. Can talk to students about some of the things they're doing in class. Oh, you're struggling in this class. What is it about this class? Well, I don't get along with the teacher. Well, what is it about the teacher that you're struggling with? I'm struggling and trying to work through some of those things that are prohibiting performance in the classroom, as well as what's going on at home. So we've been able to, once a week, meet and go through every student. What are some of the big needs? Are there safety plans? Are there things that we can do in the classroom during the day when the student gets upset? Do they need a break? Do they need to just come down and sit at the counseling office? Do they need to come in and vent for a couple of minutes and go back? Those are all things that she communicates with us, that she's been working on with the student, and then we can implement on our end when we see the need arise.
And then how do you see the social? I'm sorry. How do you see the social worker kind of fitting in? Like, what numbers are you? I know it's preliminary, but like, how many kids do you think that this social worker could potentially service?
I would think that they'd probably be servicing another 25 to 30 students.
So you're looking like a day and a half that they might possibly be in here, or more? Or?
Well, I'm thinking it'd be a full-time person, so they'd be doing 25, 30 students in mental health counseling, plus the social work stuff, working with families. We have a couple families right now that would have been very beneficial to have them.
And then that would be flex, where they might be able to do it at night?
Yeah, that's our goal and our vision right now.
That would be huge.
We're looking for a full-time social worker just here for the district.
Yes.
It wouldn't be, right now, obviously, we have Genesee County Mental Health here a day and a half. But this would be through a COSER, through the TIG COSER, that we could get somebody in here full-time. And then the part that's not aidable, we could use some of the grant money that's coming to us, for the social emotional piece, to have someone here full-time.
But that would just be a great thing if it was like a cohesive unit where you were able to meet with your have that meeting. You could be able to say, hey, all right, we're working together. What do you see with that? Could that be ideal, actually?
It's the missing link for our Family and Student Support Center vision back a year and a half ago.
Tim, you're on board with that, right?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
No, it's ideal. We need it. I mean, we really need it now,
Yes,
and I think,
absolutely.
The last year and a half, just as people that have been just on the ice are falling through right now, myself included at times.
We're waiting to turn kids away and go to the other side of Batavia to get services.
And then they're just not going to go. I mean, it's just, if we can, we've got a captive audience here,
Yes.
you know, I don't know, I thank you for looking into that.
Yeah, a while back, we used to have a social worker on staff, but then due to the big budget crunch a few years ago, we had to downsize, and she was unfortunately let go. So it's good to see you come back.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, JC.
I can speak a little to some of the things. As been shared before, the whole MTSS has been part of our district initiative, that multi-tier systems of support. When I came into the district, the elementary school was really the only school that had that in place. We are looking to move it up to the middle school, but what we've been able to do in the elementary school, this end of April, we had our last MTSS meeting for new groups of students to form to get support services. And for me and for our interventionists, one of the great things was to see we're exiting students out of services. And I largely attribute that to the teachers and their willingness to try new things. We've shifted to all skills-based assessment groups, which is a little bit different than they had done it before. Like, they provided services to our kids, but now we're measurable goals that each interventionist is creating, both in ELA and math, and we're seeing progress. So that was really exciting at that last intervention meeting to see kids, these referrals coming in to exit out of services. So I'm really excited for what the future holds. Those interventionists are working so hard in the elementary school. They're partnering with the classroom teachers. I've started working with a couple of interventionists we have up here, and we're kind of bringing them into the fold. So I'm just really super excited and super proud of the teachers we have here and their enthusiasm to do whatever it takes to support our kids. So kudos to them.
Connie, when you're saying they're exiting out of services, are you talking exiting out of tier or
Yes, tier
completely?
support.
So they're going from tier 3 down to 2 and then 2 down to 1?
Yep.
And so, like, there's, you've seen, like, percentages that are definitely, like, that's something I would love to see.
Well,
not.
I didn't see it last year, so
Right.
to see it this year, I'm just like, wow. To see it this year amidst all the change, amidst COVID. So that's, and it gives our teachers some new energy, refound energy. Wow, we've been busting our rear ends, but look, this is working.
But traditionally speaking, it doesn't happen too often where
Right.
you get them to cycle out of tiers. You see them stagnate, and once they're at tier 3, they're at tier 3.
Right.
And it's really hard to get them out, so that's got to be very rewarding to people that are experiencing
I know
that.
it pleases Danelle to no end too.
Well, it stops the flow, I think, to
Right,
Danelle.
yeah.
I would imagine. I would think. So you're saying that you'd like to transition that more towards middle school, high school, something like that.
So we worked the schedule for our reading interventionists up here, and I've worked with Matt and JC a lot. They've kind of not always been sure, thinking I'm a little bit of a crazy lady, but we're going to bring a similar model so our reading interventionists can see students based on skills groups, based on, instead of just grade level. Like, oops, I can see 6th graders now. Well, maybe 6th graders and 7th graders have the same skill deficit and they should be in the same group. So we're starting to slowly make those changes.
And then what are you using to determine skill base? Like, how are you assessing that in a way that, like,
For reading,
for reading would be fine, or math?
So we're in the process, actually, the interventionist team and the lit team are looking at coming up with a reader's profile. We've experimented with a lot of different things. We let our interventionists try from some of the evidence-based. We mentioned before we use foundations, but we've been using, like, there's one called CTOP2 that is a great one because it also kind of gives an idea if a kid has deficits so low that they might be eligible for special ed. So what we've been doing, that's our most recent one, is reaching out, trying to find screeners that don't just give us classroom information, but then give us information that can kind of give us a sense of whether this is a kid who might need some more intensive services. We've introduced Just Words, which is a Wilson product, which also is foundation, so that's nice for the consistency, but it's geared toward the 4th through 12th graders. So we're starting to bring some of those things in. Logical assessments.
And how does the STAR program, how does that fit in with all of that?
Okay, so STAR will be.
Because that's something I hear about all day long
Right,
from
so
my
we
kids.
do
We
not
gotta do
have
another
that.
STAR day, we gotta do another STAR, we gotta do another.
Oh, okay, so then I'm not sure what you're talking about with STAR, because when you just said STAR, I was thinking Renaissance Star, which will be coming to the middle school next
Like when they're online, they have to do like my daughter in kindergarten has to do them quite often.
Starfall. Okay, I'll have to look into that, because that
Okay.
must be an app or something, because the Star Renaissance that I think of,
Sure.
the Star.
Oh, iReady, I'm sorry. Yeah, iReady, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, iReady, okay.
Yeah, iReady, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm saying Star. You're right,
I'm
Glenn.
getting
Thank you.
confused, I'm like, they don't do Star.
No, it's iReady. I'm sorry. It's iReady
It's
they're
okay.
saying. I'm thinking, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so actually, iReady is our elementary school. We've embraced it. Actually, this week, Thursday, we have somebody from iReady coming to work with our elementary teachers. So I set it up. So our elementary teachers, for those of you who don't know, by grade level, they have common planning time. So throughout the day, they put in ahead of time. We created a Google Doc. The grade levels put in all their questions, things about iReady, because you know, Justin, it's a little bit of a crazy program sometimes.
Yeah.
This is what we want to know.
I can remember the
more
name of
about.
it, I think.
Right. This is where we need support. This is, you know, they listed their questions, so iReady, the person, her name is Norma, who's going to come visit us, has the questions. So she will spend the whole day, and like, I think 5th period has planning first, and during their planning, they'll come down and she has a presentation just for them based on their questions, and we'll look at the data. Because to be honest, one of the questions with our elementary teachers is we want to use this data more efficiently. Since we've shifted to skills-based groups, they're realizing the power of the data. So we're kind of at baby steps. Like, we know the overall diagnostic, yep, we see growth here, we see growth there, but we're starting to kind of really hone in on it. So it is beginning steps,
Sure.
but we are learning and bringing the PD in. So other than the big overall, did they progress, did they not, which, I mean, we've had for years, we're going to start using it a bit differently.
Sounds good.
So I'm hopeful. I mean, I need to learn more about it too. That's why
Sure.
we're bringing this woman in to really help us learn the nitty gritty.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And I'll just add this, that this is the time of year that can be stressful for a lot of teachers and staff, but it is also really is the best time of the year in schools. It's a time where we get to celebrate student successes. So as the year comes to a close, we're going to be celebrating some of our students here. National Technical Honor Society is coming up over at BOCES on the 14th. Our own National Honor Society will be celebrating on June 7th. We have our Student of the Month luncheon, which is going to come up on June 4th. Our awards assembly, Ms. Bergen, I think, is still here. She's done a lot of legwork on that. We're going to do that by grade level, live and in person with the kids. We'll push it out remotely to parents. All in an effort to celebrate those kids that are really going above and beyond and doing the things the way we want them to do, and we want to recognize their success. Of course, we also have the prom coming up, which Mr. Fiscal mentioned, and graduation, the ultimate celebration on the 19th. So it's a great time of year. It's a stressful time, but celebrating the kids is really what it's all about.
I have a couple of things that Lynn asked me to share too, since she wasn't able to be here tonight. She did share that Bart Tantino has been hosting some workshops with the 3rd grade students in the general music class. This is all a study of creative visualization. The workshops are called The Space Between the Leaves, and this is all a result of the Spark grant, so that's exciting. And I know these gentlemen didn't mention it, but they've all been working really hard with Lynn and the 5th grade teachers, as well as the counselors, on working on their 5th grade transition. So really getting the kids, it's nice this year to have the kids really get prepared to come over to this building. So that's been really great. And then, you know, Lynn, Connie and I have been kind of already brainstorming about this summer. We're really excited to have, for special ed, we're going to offer 4 weeks for the kids to come in, and then for general ed students, they'll kind of have the choice to, if they want to come in for 2 or 4 weeks and get some, you know, enrichment projects done. There'll be some STEM classes as well as some reading and math instruction. We're hoping that we can maybe even get, you know, a Zoom-mobile or something like that in for some fun Fridays for the kids. So parents should be getting information about that soon, just to see who's interested in sending their kiddos. So we're really excited about that as well.
So they're opening vaccinations at 12 through 15-year-olds. Does that affect their quarantine, need to quarantine if they're vaccinated, if a student is vaccinated?
It does. If they're vaccinated and they're 2 weeks out after their last dose, depending on what dose they get, they would not have to quarantine. Keep in mind, though, that we've had a few cases over the last 2 weeks where no contact tracing had to occur just because, you know, obviously masks are mandated, and we are still, for the most part, 6 feet apart. And if you're 6 feet apart and you're masked up, there's no contact tracing.
So a student discloses they've been vaccinated, how, you must know that.
Yes, and we have great records. We'll have kids that we would have had to quarantine, but they turned around and said, well, I already had COVID. So 90 days after having COVID, you don't have to quarantine. So we keep records of all that. The nurses have been fantastic. We certainly don't go out and offer that, ask them to provide us that information. But if we ever had to contact trace, kids and families would give us that information that, my kid was vaccinated, and,
So it doesn't
here's that.
necessarily have to be provided up front. You could say you fell into this pool. If you show us either you had COVID or you're vaccinated, then you're withdrawn from the pool.
Correct. I do know that there were many students that thought because of prom and graduation that they did go out and get vaccinated. And then so to attend prom or graduation, they would have either had to have a negative COVID test or provide us proof of vaccination. I think my first parent square to the community was, hey, this vaccination is open for kids. It could help with prom, it could help with graduation. But now that the guidance has kind of, eased up on that, we don't have to even worry about testing or having families or people provide us proof. That was my one concern, more so with graduation, with the number being so low and wanting to have guests here. We could go over that capacity limit, but we had to make sure that we tested or people proved that they were vaccinated. How are you going to police that the morning of graduation, where maybe, a kid the night before takes a rapid test and all of a sudden they're positive. Now what? They can't come to graduation, or you have a family strolling in wanting to see graduation and they say, oh, I didn't know we had to provide proof. I don't have it. How do you turn them away? So we just wanted to stay away from that altogether. So, we're very pleased with our plans moving forward, that we don't even have to go down that road.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Please forgive me. I don't know any of the candidates for the Board of Election. I'm trying to make an educated choice for the election. It's my understanding that there are 2 board members up for re-election and 2 that are not. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, of those 4, there's 1 here. Is it a board member?
Yep, Tim Edgerton.
And the other 3 are not here.
Correct.
Well, perhaps I could ask the questions that I was going to ask. I wanted answers from everyone. But number 1, what's your opinion of the 1619 project? And number 2, what do you think about critical race theory? If this board is overseeing the teachers, and the Teachers Federation, one of them at least, the national, is promoting these, what are we going to do about it? So what is your understanding of these 2 situations?
So I think before you answer, Tim, you've got your questions out on public record. We could probably put together a forum if needed to. This isn't really the forum for that.
Tim, I assumed it was. That's why I came.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tim is certainly welcome to respond to you, but I guess I would do that after the meeting. If you want.
The reason I asked the question is not for me, but it's for the public. The mass of public is here to find out who's going to be the choices for election. That's why I asked the question.
Sure. No, they're fair questions to ask publicly elected candidates. They will hear your questions and they'll have the opportunity to respond to also. Any other questions for John? Thank you. On the new business, consent agenda, be it resolved, items 7.2 through 7.6 be approved via consent agenda. Can we get a motion? A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. 7.7, be resolved to accept the donation from the Caryville Inn in the amount of $600 for use by the class of 2022 to offset the cost for various items as they prepare for their senior year. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you to Aaron and Dan for the donation to the class of 2022.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 7.8 donation, accept the donation from Karen and Mike Guzmano in the amount of $120 for use by the class of 2022 to offset the cost for various items as they prepare for their senior year. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Thanks to Karen and Mike for the donation to the class of 2022. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. 7.9, accept the donation of a grain bin with funds from the OA-FFA fundraisers, OAE-FFA alumni, and Tractor Supply grant for growing in the approximate amount of $5,000 be approved. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Communications. If there's anything in addition to what we see in front of us?
No.
Discussion roundtable. Anything's been submitted. Committee reports. Anybody have any committee meetings they would like to discuss? Okay. On the personnel consent agenda, be it resolved that personnel items 10.2 through 10.6 be approved via consent agenda. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 10.7 retirement. Accept the retirement letter of Wesley Waldron, bus driver, with appreciation and regret, effective May 7th, 2021. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you. Yeah. for
Yeah,
your
he's been here,
service.
been here a while.
A long time.
20 years as a bus driver,
Yeah,
but
thank you.
from what I was told, that he used to be working for the, I don't know, the old school down the road. He was employed, I don't know. I couldn't figure that out, but I definitely know that
Yeah,
he was
right.
20 plus years as a bus driver.
All in favor of accepting the letter of retirement?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Accept the retirement letter of Nancy Richthammer, bus driver, with appreciation and regret, effective July 26th, 2021. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Nancy drives my kids, and she's tough, but she takes care of my kids every day. I think she's been doing it since I've been born in 1979. I think she's not sure if she really wants to retire based on the conversations, but I'm very thankful that she's gotten my kids to school safely for the last 12 years. So thanks a lot, Nancy. I bet you I'll see you driving the bus again as a sub next year. I hope I do.
Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting the letter of retirement?
Yeah, 42 years.
Right?
Aye.
Yep. Well, now you know how old I am, John.
Opposed? Passes. The last retirement, accept the letter of retirement from Robert Bush, bus driver, with appreciation and regret. Is it a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Thanks to Robert for his years of service to the school.
Yes, absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. We don't.
Yeah.
Should be paying well.
We are, Pete. We're driving. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think we're losing 7, but Josh assures us that he's got many in the pipeline to fill that. And that's a testament to him and how he runs his department and this district and how, you know, the employees stick around and are happy there. So, you know, it makes me nervous, but he seems pretty confident.
Yep. Yeah, he's right on top of it, so.
Yeah.
We'll let you know opening day for sure.
So we don't have executive session tonight, so we'll move into closing remarks. Tim?
No, not really. Nice job on the budget presentation, appreciate it. And that's about it.
Thank you, Tim. Jack?
Yeah, Christine and admin, John, everybody, nice job in that budget presentation. I think it represents good teamwork and a high-level budget, so I think it's really nice and pretty clear. Congratulations and thank you to all those who are retiring. Service and dedication, much appreciated to Oakfield so much. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, for us, we've sat here on this board for the year, and we've said thank you for all the hard work, and that this hasn't been an easy year for anybody. And some people may take that as lip service, but I think what was approved tonight, as far as the calendar goes, having that shortened schedule, I hope doesn't act as lip service. That's an action that we've taken that hopes, in my eyes, I hope it's received as acknowledgement of hard work. I know in my district that is not going to happen. We will be in school until June 25th. No extra anything, and that's just going to be how it's going to be. So I think when John put this on the agenda, I thought, holy cow, is this even legal? And I really wondered. And I talked in my school district with some of my colleagues, and they said there's no way. And I hope Oakfield teachers feel happy about this, and I hope they do. I know this is not a fun year at all, and you have worked really hard. This isn't a gold bar, but it is something I think that I hope is acknowledged positively. I think it's a move in the right direction. And we've got, I don't know how many days, 30-some days left, and I hope we can make it and come back together a little bit more close than where we are right now. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Justin. Dan?
Yeah, I'm glad that for the increase in the social emotional needs across the district, that'll be great for the students and families. Also, from where we are now, from a year ago, to have graduation and 8 guests potentially is quite a remarkable milestone given what took place last year. And also, just again, congratulations to Wesley, Nancy, and Robert for your year of service, and all of those drivers.
Next, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, definitely thanks to all the school staff, teachers, administration, everybody in a year that probably would have been so easy to get just bogged down on all the COVID stuff, to where you guys really stayed the course and didn't let that take away from a lot of other stuff, you know, just like all the stuff with the social worker and stuff like that. I know my kids, their teachers continue to do just special little things that made it feel like such a normal year for our kids. Definitely greatly appreciated by the community. John staying the course on the budget. I mean, I was ready to start pulling the plug on things months ago, and you know, you definitely thought you were crazy for a while, and just staying the course and making sure that we didn't start cutting things because we were worried, about where we were at and stuff. And John, you definitely always had the kids' best interest in staying with the budget and working through it. And definitely did a better job than I was going to do with it, because we would have cut things months ago just because we were also worried about it. But hats off to everybody in the district. Like I said, a year that could have gotten bogged down on just COVID, you guys really continued to make sure all the other small details made it happen for the kids. And I think that years down the road, you're going to see our kids really shine above other districts because of the year that you guys all put together.
So I'm starting to think about next year already, even though this year isn't closed, and I know you're guided by guidances, but I hope next year in September, kids come back and our masking requirements are gone or significantly reduced. I want kindergarten kids to see their teachers without masks on, and vice versa. And I also see it in print and hear from teachers the struggles of teaching remote kids. while they're teaching kids in class at the same time. I hope that we're not doing that anymore. I hope our kids are in school, and I hope that we're continuing to make progress and getting things moving.
So if I could just bend the board's ear just a little bit, and for the community, I'm hopeful we're there as well come the fall. As far as what I know school districts are waiting for coming from the state is guidance on what options do school districts have for the fall. Obviously this year the state required that school districts had to provide families the remote option, which we had to. I would like to go on record that if we don't have to, or if it's up to each individual school district to decide whether they're going to provide that remote option, I would not like to promote that. I would like to say that since we are back here open 5 days a week, that all the kids attend school. If we do have to provide a remote option, I am very much in favor of taking our remote students. GVEP is creating a remote learning academy where the students would receive all of their instruction from GVEP teachers that would be fully remote. We would pay into that, and obviously it would be aidable back to us, and that would get those remote learners off of our teaching staff so they could focus in on the teachers or the students that are here in person 5 days a week. So more information to come. We did throw that survey out about, at this point in time, do you see your child returning back to school in the fall or being fully remote? Those numbers are very much down. I think currently right now we have about 50-some middle high school students remote and about 10 elementary students remote. I think we have 4 people that replied back that said that they would be fully remote. So that would be very easy to take them and say, sure, but the instruction would then be through that remote learning academy. I think that's the best way to do that, because it isn't a good instructional practice to have these teachers worrying about the hybrid kids, let alone the remote kids, and then the kids that are in front of them 5 days a week. So we have plans for that in the fall. We're just waiting to see what the guidance comes down and allows us or doesn't allow us to do. But
John, I know it's roundtable and prior to that closing here, but I just real quick question: if you were to take a guess, do you think we would be paying per kid for the remote? Or?
Yes, it would be per kid. Currently, right now, it's $8,900.
$8,900 per kid.
And we would have to have a commitment from those families that if they did want to have their child remote, that would be a year commitment. We would not have this coming back and forth type of deal, because really we're paying tuition. The teachers of record for those students would be the teachers that GVEP would hire and have.
So they would be on their beds form?
Correct, yes. So they would still be our student, but their teacher of record would be the instructional staff through GVEP. And I do think it's a great opportunity. I
agree, it's consistent and it takes the burden off. It's a double burden. There's no compensation.
Yep. So we have to have numbers into GVEP soon with an estimation so they can worry about staffing that remote academy.
And is this K-12 you're talking?
This is K-12. I will say that I've had conversations with our admin team. I don't see the need to send our K through 5th grade over there. I think we can work something out for our elementary students.
Through like a Tulsa?
I don't have the plan yet,
yeah.
But again, we only have a handful right now. I do not have any families that have an elementary student that said they would be fully remote. The handful that I'm talking about are our middle and high school, so we would send them. But Lynn agrees that there's a possibility that we can do something for the little ones and not spend the $8,900 on a tuition for the remote academy.
Sorry to ask you.
The remote academy is pretty intense. So I think it would assist and help the 6th through 12th graders. I don't necessarily think for elementary, it would be worth the cost. I think we could do something in-house for them.
Okay, yeah, just curious, because I agree with what both of you are saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the teachers have met the challenge.
Yeah, for the year.
Really well, but at some point, that burden needs to end, right?
It's gotta stop.
Yeah,
It's gotta stop.
I fully agree. So
Would
that's,
we only have to pay that if the state required us to have remote learning?
if the state required us to have remote learning, I would send them. That's an option. If the state says, hey, it's up to the local school districts, or hey, you don't need to provide that, then I'm out there to say either you're 5 days a week or you're homeschooling, or attending a private school.
There could be even a caveat that the state puts in that says perhaps that students can be only remote if they have a viable medical excuse. I mean, there could be all sorts of things that are in there, so.
Correct.
You know,
So,
it's hard to say.
and again, we're waiting for the guidance.
Right.
It'll come down probably in the middle of August.
I like the sounds of your plan.
But,
it's got it back here.
yes, we cannot do
Will
next
teachers
year
know
what
that
we're doing
before
this
they go
year.
out for the summer? Will they have an idea of that plan before they go out for the summer?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I've been a couple teachers' ears of, how do you think, and I think they would be very appreciative of not having to worry about the remote learners.
Because the light at the end of the tunnel could get a lot brighter if they're aware of that sooner than later. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Because the light seems.
Right, and again, last year when we had to provide a remote option, all school districts did. And again, we have 60-some kids doing that. We'll probably send another survey out probably the first week of June when I'm told by GVEP that they need some hard, fast numbers of how many people we think we're going to send. I don't see those numbers being that high. I see maybe a dozen at most, which we can certainly
Send, but like if it's for teachers, like one remote student is a burden. The number of itself, I find, is meaningless. If I have 20 kids in front of me and one remote student, I still have to provide all the instruction for that one remote student. So
right. It's a lot different at the middle high school
Sure.
when they have the many different classes and things like that. So more to come.
Yep. Thank you.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, resolved, the regular meeting of the Board of Education be adjourned at 7:23. Need a motion? And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Thank you.